So we all know that dinosaurs were some of the most incredible creatures to ever live. But what if they never went extinct and evolved into modern animals? Well, today we're going to find out exactly what would have happened if this was the case. And it's honestly a theory that will blow your mind. So let's start. First off, we need to talk about birds. Because while scientists do agree that birds are in fact dinosaurs, most people don't. After all, birds are so different from the dinosaurs we've seen in movies like Jurassic Park. But trust me when I say that birds are in fact dinosaurs, as there have been many discoveries that prove this theory. For example, in 2014, researchers examined the oldest known nest of theropod dinosaurs. They found that the nest had been made by an oviraptorosaur. The dinosaur had been sitting on its eggs waiting for them to hatch before it was fossilized. The discovery provided evidence that at least some theropods, a group that includes Velociraptor, did indeed care for their young. Also, fossils show us the transition from dinosaurs to birds pretty clearly. Like this fossil of a relative of Ankylosaurus that shows us that feathers might have evolved as a way to regulate body temperature. Oh, and not only that, but this fossil of a relative of Ankylosaurus also shows us that it had feathers. It's not only that, but feathered dinosaurs have been discovered with fur too. It's like this guy, which is one of my favorite discoveries, as it just makes the whole idea of dinosaurs seem more real and relatable. And yeah, it's pretty clear that dinosaurs like Ankylosaurus had fur and feathers, while birds lost their feathers and got smoother. But this doesn't really matter, because it seems like these dinosaurs were evolving into birds right before our eyes. So yeah, birds are definitely dinosaurs, which means that if dinosaurs never went extinct, birds would still exist and maybe look more like dinosaurs than they do now. But the theory gets even crazier, as what if bigger dinosaurs also never went extinct? Well, if this was the case, then the Tyrannosaurus rex would still be with us today. You might think that it would be massive, like 50 feet tall or something. But the thing is that it probably wouldn't, because of how T-Rex hunted. See, T-Rex was built for speed, with some estimates saying that they could run as fast as Usain Bolt. Now imagine running a marathon. You don't think anyone would be able to keep up with T-Rex if it was 50 feet tall, right? But here's the thing. Scientists have determined that the maximum size for a terrestrial predator is around 40 feet.
Yes.
This is because a larger size would require a larger heart. And while a larger heart does pump more blood, it also needs more time to pump the blood. The issue is that the animal's other organs can't work faster than the heart, meaning that if the heart beats faster, then other organs need to catch up. And this is where the size limit comes into play, as a larger animal has proportionally smaller organs. So if a T-Rex was 40 feet long, then yes, it would still be able to chase you down. But it wouldn't be able to last very long. And while T-Rex would still be around, there's no telling what other large dinosaurs would be around as well. Take Giganotosaurus, for example. Now, this dinosaur's name translates to giant southern lizard. And honestly, that's quite an accurate description. It was massive, growing to lengths of over 43 feet and weighing over 9 tons. Now, the cool thing about this dinosaur is that it lived in South America, which is quite interesting because this is different from where other large meat-eaters like T-Rex and Spinosaurus lived. And fun fact, Giganotosaurus was actually slightly bigger than Tyrannosaurus rex, which means that it could have easily taken T-Rex's spot as the king of the dinosaurs. And yeah, if dinosaurs never went extinct, then there's no telling which ones would have taken over. Maybe it would have been Triceratops, or maybe even Stegosaurus. Now, while we can assume that there would be huge carnivores like T-Rex and Giganotosaurus, there would also be huge plant eaters. Take Argentinosaurus, for example, as it was a whopping 115 feet long. That's the size of 3 school buses. Oh, and it weighed around 110 tons, which is just crazy. In fact, it was so big that it was probably the largest land animal to ever exist. Seriously, the sheer size of this dinosaur is almost impossible to comprehend. Not only that, but there were even larger dinosaurs. Take Patagodoton, for example, as it was around 122 feet long. Yeah, you heard that right. Over 100 feet. It weighed around 77 tons, and it lived around 100 million years ago. This dinosaur's name translates to the giant of Patagonia, and I honestly think that this is quite an accurate name. And if dinosaurs never went extinct, then there's no telling how large they would have gotten. But what if we took it a step further and asked, what if dinosaurs never went extinct and humans evolved from dinosaurs? Well, first off, we need to get one thing straight. Humans did not evolve from dinosaurs. We share a common ancestor with dinosaurs, but we didn't evolve from them directly. Okay, now that that's cleared up, let's have some fun. What if we just said that humans evolved from dinosaurs for the sake of this video? Well, if this was the case, then we would probably have a much different world. Take our arms, for example. You see, humans have small arms compared to the rest of our body. And the reason for this is that we use our hands for precise movements, like writing or using a scalpel. But if humans evolved from theropod dinosaurs, which had huge arms, then we would probably have big arms too. And this isn't far-fetched either, as scientists believe that early humans used to have huge arms until we started using tools. Using tools allowed us to start walking upright, which in turn reduced the need for big arms. So if dinosaurs never went extinct and humans evolved from theropods, then we would probably have big arms just like them. But it doesn't stop there, because there are even more differences between us and dinosaurs that would change if humans evolved from dinosaurs, like the fact that we don't have tails. You see, when it comes to our skeleton, humans are a lot like birds. In fact, human embryos have tails at one point in development. But over time, the tailbone ends up becoming part of the pelvis, which is why we don't have tails. But if humans evolved from dinosaurs, then we would probably have tails too, since most dinosaurs had them. In fact, it's quite possible that our tail would end up looking like that of a velociraptor. Speaking of velociraptors, they were actually closer relatives of birds than they were of T-Rex. That's because velociraptors were part of a group called Maniraptora, which means that they were more closely related to birds than to other theropod dinosaurs. In fact, the word bird itself is a synonym for Maniraptoran. And speaking of being closer relatives of birds, did you know that chickens are actually more closely related to T-Rex than they are to ostriches? Yep, you heard that right. See, chickens and ostriches both belong to a group called rutites. But the thing is that while studying rutites, scientists realized that they weren't as closely related as they thought. And that's when they discovered that chickens were actually more closely related to theropod dinosaurs like T-Rex than they were to ostriches. Now you might be wondering why this matters. Well, the answer is simple. Chickens are actually more closely related to the Maniraptoran dinosaurs than they are to other birds. So yeah, if humans evolved from dinosaurs, then we would probably be closer relatives of chickens than we are of ostriches. In the end, if humans did evolve from dinosaurs, then we would probably look a lot more like birds than we do now. We would have beaks instead of mouths, and feathers instead of hair. Plus, we would also have tails and bigger arms. But honestly, who knows? Maybe dinosaurs were always meant to go extinct. Maybe if they didn't, then humans would have never evolved, and the Earth would have been ruled by giants. So yeah, maybe it was for the best. But what do you think? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, thanks for watching.